what people don't understand is that not everyone with dysphoria grows up to be a transsexual adult. Yes.
Hi, everyone. First off, thanks for joining us, and I have an amazing guest today. I'm super excited. This is our second or third try because the internet is totally insane. I think we're all being ripped off from the internet, just so you
It's
know.
true.
That's my conspiracy theory.
It's true.
But I'm always so lucky to get these guests, and I just want to say to everybody out there, thanks again for helping raise the awareness around my channel and bringing these voices. And I always going to tell you that I believe they're the voiceless of the trans community, and I think that these people don't get an opportunity to have these conversations and sort of speak for themselves as opposed to the community speaking for these really incredibly brave on some level. I hate using that word now, it's been overused,
Right.
but you know what I mean? Stepping up to the plate and really talking about you, because I don't like that you're being represented by people who don't necessarily like you or saying that you're lying and all of that. And it's just incredible nonsense. But so, August, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for putting yourself out here for the world to see you. It's a very, very important discussion we're going to have. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm August. I am 23. I am a female to male to female detransitioner, living in the Midwest.
Okay, great. And so, how long were you transitioned for before
So
you
I
detrans?
I lived as a man for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was on hormones for 3.5 years.
So around 18 is when you,
Yeah.
around that age? I'm doing the numbers.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
almost
wow.
24, so
Oh, wow. Okay, so around 18 is when you started, and then a couple years transition, and then you started taking hormones, or did you start taking hormones right off the bat?
I waited a year.
You waited a year. Okay. And then, so what was it that you decided that you wanted to start taking hormones?
So, um, I was like always like masculine at a young age, and I was always same-sex attracted.
Hmm.
So I was like, I guess, a tomboy.
Hmm.
Hung out with the boys, the stereotype. Um, and uh, in high school, I was a butch lesbian. I identify as bisexual now.
Okay.
But like I thought that because I was masculine, I couldn't like boys, or that would make me less masculine. So I was just like, no, I don't like men. I'm a lesbian, but I've always
Wow.
liked men too. Um,
Right. Right.
but I went to college as butch, and they put me in queer housing.
Okay.
So I was with um, a group of primarily trans and non-binary people, all in the same dorm, just trans and non-binary people, and then I was there as a lesbian. And then there was like one straight cis woman, and she was just like, what the hell is going on?
Like, where am I?
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. So they just sort of, did they ask you if that's where you wanted to go?
No.
Or they just
So
put you there?
yeah, so like they, before attending the college, they made you fill out like a list of like, what's your sexuality, what's your gender identity, blah blah blah. Who would you be more comfortable being housed with? And I said, well,
Okay.
anyone, I don't really care.
Oh.
And so then they were like, surprise.
I mean, that's quite fascinating to me because you were totally open to being housed with non-trans or non-queer. You were
Hmm.
completely open to it, yet they put you in that space. Now, at the time, you were identifying more as a butch, like
Yes.
female or however you want to say it. Yeah, okay. So you weren't even really identifying as a trans person at that
No.
time.
No.
Interesting. So, okay, move forward. So you get into this housing unit.
Oh my goodness. And everyone is like uh very involved in like the queer community, and and most of these people, they're all great people. I'm still friends with a good amount of them. I dated one of them. I mean, we don't speak anymore, unfortunately, but like that happens when you break up. Um,
It's true.
but they were all very like, oh wow, like you must be a trans guy
Because
because I'm masculine and I like women.
that's what I want everybody to hear. And this is how, I mean, gosh, my friend, I talk to so many people and they say almost exactly what you are saying. So they sort of started putting that in your ear.
Yeah, and like I had dysphoria like growing up, like in middle school, I packed with a sock before I even knew what trans was. And like uh, when my mom told me what like mastectomies were for like cancer patients, I was like, I want to do that when I get older. And I had no idea of what trans was. I was just like, oh, that's what I want. And of course, now I love having breasts.
Of course.
So
Important. How old were you when you were saying this to your mom?
maybe like 7.
Wow. Very profound. I think a lot of us, you know, who might have gone on to transition later in life, or even just people who don't, you know, I think that they play with that gender thing, or they see something as a little kid and it attracts them to it. Doesn't mean you're trans, doesn't mean you should be doing that.
And it's like what people don't understand is that not everyone with dysphoria grows up to be a transsexual adult.
Thank you, friend, for saying that. Appreciate it very much.
And I personally still identify as non-binary. So I use they and she pronouns, but like I'm not trans.
That's right. That's the difference. And thank you for saying that. I've pushed back on this narrative that non-binary is, no, they're not. My experience
It's
and
not
your
the
experience,
same thing.
totally different.
Yeah.
It's like saying I identify as being Asian. I don't know anything about being Asian, and nor would I even understand the cultural references. It's kind of actually, you know, it's I find it to be insulting on some level when you sort of appropriate other people's space. You don't need to appropriate my space, and I don't need to. There's nothing wrong with being a non-binary person.
No.
At all.
Just don't say it's the same thing.
Thank you, friend.
Yeah, and like I was talking last night with 2 of my best friends. Shout out to Lucas and B.
Excellent.
Lucas is a trans guy, and B is non-binary, and we were talking about like this new generation, like claiming to be like gay and trans, and like B was talking about her niece, I think, and she was like, this person is claiming to be trans and I just don't buy it, you know?
There you go.
And I'm just like, yeah, basically.
Do you think that some of the young people, and we're going to go back to your story because it's really important. I'm just wondering, do you think on some level they're being put in this position to be a part of something? Does it make them feel a part? Yeah.
I've seen it. That wasn't my experience, but I've seen it. And I'll get into that later.
Great. Okay, so now you're in this housing unit and you're, you know, kind of put into a trans queer space with everyone's trans queer. Then they start talking to you like, maybe you're not a masculine person, maybe you're trans. And what happens so you start thinking that, right?
So I start thinking that, and then basically like I joined a gay history class because I was like, I want to learn about like LGBT history. And it was so like gender ideology. Like it wasn't like about Stonewall, about like, you know, like anything like that. Like they did discuss like the AIDS epidemic and stuff like that.
Okay,
but the like main focus was like, oh, you can like choose your gender and you can, you know, like it, you know, so I was involved in like a lot of like the LGBT stuff on campus, but there was this gender ideology that was always being discussed. Like it wasn't, you know, nobody was like, okay, you're a masculine woman. Like you're a...
Nobody.
No. Everyone
was never on the table. Was it ever on the table? Like it's okay to identify as a masculine female ever?
So basically, they were just saying like, oh, most butch women are trans guys.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
that's sad.
I'm like, butch women have existed for like, and I'm sure you know this. I'm sure that back in the day you had a lot of butch friends.
I was a butch, and like all my friends were butches, and I'm the only one who transitioned 30 years ago. All the butches were mad at me, and that's okay.
Right.
That's a whole other story. I get it, but that's not true. Masculinity is so important in the female space. I feel so sad and mad that people are saying this. That's not true. Gosh, my friend. So they're not giving any representation to masculinity in the female space. They're more saying if you're masculine now, you're definitely a trans person. Wow, that's ideology.
Yeah, and like I was telling them about my childhood, which is so the thing is about like people who are same-sex attracted and trans people, like there are parallels in childhood. So it's like a gray area and it's kind of hard to tell. But like I was telling them, like, I was talking to two trans guys and I was like, I've always like been masculine, and like I told them about like packing with a sock and like, before I knew what that was.
Sure.
And they were like, oh, you're definitely trans.
My God, is it that simple? This is why we have people like you.
Yes.
You know that because I know so many of us back in the day, butch girls, women who would put socks in their, and we played with gender. We all did it back in the butches, completely did that. It had nothing to do with being trans. It had to do with playing with masculinity. And
in high school, I was a drag king.
Well, there you go. There you go. Which that's a whole other conversation I'd like to have sometime about the drag space. But so now here you are in college and you're dealing with this, and so now you're sort of being sucked into maybe I'm a trans guy, right? And then tell me what next steps happen from that.
So basically, I've been unfortunately like sexually assaulted a lot in my lifetime.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
I went to a frat party and I got raped.
Oh my God.
And
Fuck.
and after that I was like definitely like, well, women get raped and I must not be a woman. You know what I mean? Like it was.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Like I was very much like, this is not supposed to happen to me because I must be a trans guy. Like, I don't know. It was weird.
Well, no, my friend. You know how many people have sexual trauma or trauma that are transitioning and not dealing with that trauma? I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I mean, I'm finding all these, and I'm just like, wow. First off, I'm very sorry that happened to you. It's so horrifying. But secondly, I get it. That makes sense. Now you're like, I'm not female. Like I got raped because I'm a female, right? And maybe going towards that masculine space is pushing away from that female space on some level.
Right. Like I was masculine, but I was still getting raped by men. So I was like, oh, well, this is a sign that like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Not saying that, anyone can get raped. Anyone can,
of course. Of course.
And I'm not saying like it's a female virtue to be raped or anything like that.
No. You're saying your story. Don't worry about any of that. And anybody can, people will cherry pick every conversation I have with, especially people like yourself, because they're going to try to find this. This is your story and your thing, and everything you say here is factual. So I don't care what people say because they'll say it anyway. Honestly, you know me. I don't care. Like I'm giving you a voice to talk about these experiences, and for you being so open, I really do also appreciate that because you're going to help somebody who also was probably put in this space.
Oh yeah.
And I'm seeing parallels to so many of you young people that I have conversations with who go to university. And there's a lot of this happening. Do you see this happening a lot at university?
Yes. Pretty much every university that I've heard about, like I've talked to other friends and they're like, oh, there's like 16 trans people in my class. And I'm just like,
how is that
there?
Is there? Yeah, good question. But I mean, it just says so much to me about, and I push back. It feels like a social contagion to me.
It
feels, yeah. People are just being so blind to it on purpose. And I think because they feel, invalidated. We're in this space of you have to validate me. And we need to get out of that. No one needs to validate you. You need to validate yourself. So here you are at school. Now now you start to sort of live as a trans guy, right? And did you change your name, or is it the same name you're using now? You don't need to say it. I don't care.
Oh, I'm open about it. I was Roland.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you did change your name.
I did.
You changed your pronouns. And you just started walking the world. Did you talk to your parents about it?
No, for a while I was like only like on the university. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Why?
So I was kind of like living a double life, and my parents have always been supportive, you know, of everything. So they were just like, "Are you sure?" You know?
Yeah, that's right. How old are you at this time? You're like 18 or something like that when going through this. So yeah, of course, you know, your parents obviously sound cool because what can they do? First off, you're 18, you're an adult. You can kind of do what you want, but at the same time, so here you are telling your parents and moving through the university as a trans guy. Now, are you totally in the trans guy scene now?
Yes.
Like all your friends, everything you do. Are you becoming sort of an activist in that space on some level?
Definitely. Like people would come to me for like advice and like, you know, eventually. So I told my parents on the phone.
Okay.
Which was not great. But I was like, I don't want to see my mother cry.
That's because you care.
Yeah. So
did she?
She did.
Because why? Do you know?
Because she felt like she was losing her only daughter.
Oh, that just breaks my heart.
I know.
It does.
And
it breaks my heart.
But she was immediately like supportive too. Like she was like sad, but she was like, you know, do you want to like start hormones? Do you want to like, you know? And I was like, yeah, I think I do. And so that summer, I went to a gender clinic, and I sat down for an hour with this woman.
Okay.
Told her about my past, you know, being butch, being same-sex attracted, and immediately she was like, yep, here you go. Here's your letter for testosterone. It might have been like 45 minutes. Like, it might not have even been a full hour.
Oh, my God. This is so insane. I swear to gosh, my friend, these people are going to get nailed. This is not ethical therapy. It's not ethical for somebody to do 1 hour. I don't even care if it's 3 hours, one time. And now you're getting a script for testosterone? Wow. There's so many of the kids I'm talking to, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you know, I'm 60, so the kids, you know, that are going into these places, and literally within 20 to an hour, they're getting an actual prescription for testosterone, which is a controlled substance, which did this to me, and that to you, and it's not reversible. I don't care what anybody says. There's going to be things that are not going to reverse.
Oh, that's another thing. The therapist told me that all of the changes were completely reversible.
Oh my! Thank you for saying that loud and clear. Loud and clear. That is unethical medical. That is not. That she's not giving you an opportunity to make an informed choice. Information means pros and cons. That's what an informed choice. How do you make an informed choice if they're lying to you and telling you this is not reversible? How dare they?
You.
My friend, this man ain't ever going back to living like a lady, because I'm going to be I'm going to work in the circus, like literally the bearded lady.
The bearded lady.
I mean, my God, it's so disgusting that they would do that to a young. You're 18 doing this. I am so mad. This is I don't know. Every time I do these interviews, I get so gosh darn mad about it.
I know you do, but I love you for it.
Thank you. I care about you, friend. I do. I care that you have a beautiful life and that you move forward and that you're not struggling with your sexuality or, you know, your gender or the things that, you know, and I don't think you were.
No, I was confident that I was a masculine woman who liked women.
Wow. Holy crap. Well, okay, so I'm getting all frustrated here. So I'm
I
your
know.
interview. So here you go. You get your hour intake, and the doctor is writing you a script, right? So is it a clinic? Is it like some form of a gender clinic?
It was like a gender therapist.
Wow. Where did you get that name of this therapist? From school or from your
Uh,
guy friends
from
or some kind of website? Or it doesn't
I
matter.
think it was
It's
I
okay.
think it was a website.
Okay, yeah. So you go there, you get an hour intake. I'm not laughing. I'm crying actually.
I
An
know.
intake for your hormones. Now you're on your way. So do they teach you how to inject your hormones?
So they told me to look it up on YouTube.
Oh my god. Oh, oh. This is just so sick, friend. You know, you can mess yourself up.
I
It's
know.
not a joke. Wow. You know, you can get an air bubble in the
Mm-hmm.
needle. You can inject the air bubble. That could be so dangerous. Thank you for being so honest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The world's going to see this. Many people are going to see this. You know, the lawsuits are going to start. You can't do that to a young person. There's no other medical space where you do a 20-minute, an hour intake. You
No.
write a script for a controlled substance, send that child, because you're a young person, home, figure it out, go to YouTube. What? They don't even, anybody who has diabetes and has to shoot insulin, they don't do that. They teach you how to inject yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sloppy, sloppy. That's not medical care. That's an agenda.
Yeah. It was, and
So here you are.
people were
Ugh,
telling me, like that's kind of fast,
kinda.
you
So you
know.
go home, you look at YouTube, you figure out how to inject yourself, you start taking testosterone. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
happened?
Yep.
So now you're on your road to your first shot. And
Mm-hmm.
now, what did you say? You were like were you 3 years on
Yes.
testosterone? 3 years, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long, long time. It is. Many things can happen in 3 years. Yeah. So did you see changes in your physical appearance from it?
Immediately. I passed in like 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh, it just took you over.
I was small. I weighed 90 pounds.
It put weight on you. That's what it does.
Yeah.
That's what
And
it does.
yeah. And so about like a year and a half in, like I gained a bunch of weight and like my dysmorphia was like skyrocketing. I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like,
That's right.
but
That's right.
we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we will. There you are shooting the T. You start to see immediately things happening, but are you happy? Are you around all your
Yes, I
buddies?
am.
Okay, great. So you're happy. You're feeling like you're doing the right thing, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And all your other buddies are doing that. So. Okay. So so that 3 years or so of you taking. When did you start to sort of question? Am I doing or what happened? I guess I'm putting words in your mouth.
So there was like this little voice in the back of my head that was like, you know, maybe, are you sure about this kind of a thing?
But when did that start? Was it always there, or was it something that started to creep in a year
A
or
year.
something? Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. So there you are, starting to maybe question a little bit, but not saying that to anyone,
I
just
would talk
yourself.
to my trans friends about it,
Oh.
and
Okay. Great.
everyone would tell me that's just part of it. It's internalized transphobia. Um,
Wow. Holy crap.
yeah,
Far from it, but wow. See how they're justifying it? See how they're always trying to pull you back into it and not let you even have any thoughts about, am I making the right choice? Like they don't want you to leave.
and I started obsessing about it, like constantly obsessing about it,
Okay.
like it was all I thought about.
Wow. It's
Like it
fascinating.
completely took me over. And I have OCD, which is also something common amongst our community.
Very true.
I don't know if you've spoken to or have heard of Richie.
Yes, I do know Richie. I'm friends.
Yeah,
Yes.
but he talks about that. And they told, he went into his therapist saying, like, this doesn't feel right. I'm uncomfortable. And the same thing happened with me and my therapist. They're like, it's just your OCD. Um,
Wow.
you know, and I have a complicated relationship with my transition because I regret it sometimes, but I don't regret it other times.
That's good, actually. I'm happy to hear that. That's actually a healthy way. So you're not so angry about it.
No.
You're more, yeah. No, no. And I do think that's healthy on some level. You're being very mature
And I think
about
there's
it.
kind of like a middle ground. Like,
Hmm.
I do lean more masculine. So like there are
Hmm.
some masculine changes that I like. Like I like my arm muscles. Like
Sure.
I didn't like them when they were like when I was like jacked. But um now that I'm like I've lost muscle mass but like kept some of it, I like that
Yeah.
look.
Great.
So
Great.
like I do and I don't regret it. I regret it in the sense that it caused me a lot of like mental like turmoil, like thinking constantly about my identity instead of like being out in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think those years, I don't want to say were lost, but you were dealing, all you were thinking about was your transition when you could have been thinking about some other kind of things.
Relationships, career,
There
school,
you go.
like
Having fun,
yeah,
traveling, going hiking, like having a
yeah.
dog and running around the earth and I mean gosh, endless. But instead your little, your young brain is focused on am I trans? Am I doing the right thing?
hmm
Am I blah blah blah, which is just, a lot for a young person on top of going to university and
hmm
studying.
I
So
don't
you
know
have
how
all
I
that.
graduated. Like I made it through. I'm really proud of myself. I graduated
Should be.
class of 2021.
Excellent, my friend. Congratulations. I'm
Thank
proud of
you.
you. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Well, in the pandemic, well, in an abusive relationship,
Oh
well, dealing
gosh.
with this like gender shit,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, so were you going to any kind of mental health care during this time, like a therapist or?
I was, and he was a gay man,
Okay.
and he was telling me, it's just your OCD. It's just your OCD.
And he's a gay man telling you this.
Yep.
Never did he say, well, maybe the transition isn't right for you. Did he ever say that?
No.
You know why?
Hmm.
We've now put our therapists into a position that's illegal. They call that conversion therapy.
Yep.
Right? So now we have affirmation. He was probably an affirmation therapist. I mean, the therapists are really in a bad space right now because they cannot legally, like, on some level, say, well, maybe question they're not even allowed to do that anymore, which I find to be so insane. Wow, because this person could have had the conversation with you and maybe saved you some turmoil.
Yeah.
So he's just saying it's your OCD. Do you have any other sort of diagnoses besides OCD?
Uh,
Or like,
Anxiety, major depressive disorder,
right, okay.
ADHD.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
Especially the younger generation. They're all
Oh
being
yeah.
diagnosed with all of this stuff, right? All of it.
hmm
Yeah, all of it, which we're not addressing. We're just going straight to if you transition, it'll all go away. Clearly, it didn't.
No.
Clearly, August still had this situation happening inside. So here we are. You're questioning now. Now let's move forward to when you started to feel that you needed to not be doing this anymore.
So so it was like during the pandemic, and I was like obsessing and like could not even engage with people. Like
Mm-hmm.
couldn't speak. I was like muttering to myself, and my friends saw it. Like they were like, what is going on with you? And I was like, I can't talk about it,
Wow.
and
Sad.
yeah, and I was living with, so I was in a polyamorous relationship
Mm-hmm.
with a trans guy
Okay.
and a cis guy, and
Okay.
the trans guy, super sweet guy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, we don't talk, but
Okay. Okay.
but like, but even he was like, this is just like part of your mental illness, like this is normal, but I'm literally like locking myself in my room,
That's not normal.
having freakouts over my identity.
That's not normal. Just so you know, it's
Oh, I
not.
know.
The fact that they're telling, and these people aren't even really therapists, they're just sort of in a space telling. It's so sad. Why are people doing this to young people? Lying to you. You're struggling. You're struggling with some identity stuff. It doesn't just make you trans because you think it or whatever. As you see, this is why I keep saying we need therapists to really push against people and not affirm because you say. You didn't even say you were trans. You said, or even for the intake for the testosterone, you said I'm same sex attracted. I'm masculine person, and then they immediately went to trans.
Mm-hmm.
So they're misdiagnosing. You know that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so now your friends and your lovers and your relationships are not really acknowledging that maybe you're not trans. They're just saying it's your mental illness or whatever you want to call it, your OCD, and you're struggling. So that's sad. I'm sorry. And then, so what happens with the relationship? Does that fall apart?
So basically, the cis guy is like an actual psychopath. like a clinically diagnosed psychopath.
Oh my God.
And he was like abusing me on the daily, and my other partner couldn't take it anymore, so he broke up with me. But like it took me getting my head bashed into the ground.
Like physical violence?
Yes.
Motherfucker.
To be like, I gotta get out of this.
Yes.
And it's funny, this is kind of off topic, but the other day I was at my job and he walks in and I'm like, sweet Jesus. Like, I'm,
oh my God.
And I don't know if he'd recognize me, but like, I wasn't sure. I mean, he's blocked on everything, but I was like, I gotta hide.
Yeah, of course, my friend. That's called like when you have trauma from abuse.
Yeah. But
oh my God, he didn't see you? He didn't see you?
No. Thank God.
Thank God. I know. That's really horrifying. So the person is in the same area that you are, and are they still around?
I'm guessing. I'm guessing that he's just mooching off of someone else for a place to stay. And
disgusting. How old is that person?
26.
Wow. So they're wow. Wait. How old are you right now? You're 23.
Yeah.
So when you were in the relationship with this person, what was the age difference there? Was it like 5 years or something? Or
let's see.
It's 3. So how old were you when you were in the relationship with this older person?
20, and he was 23.
Yeah. Okay. So that, even though people might not think so, I think that's a big difference. There's a difference.
It is a big difference.
And he's a cisgender man, which is also a different way of thinking and being. So now, how do you start to detransition?
So, let's see. I stopped taking testosterone November 5th, 2021.
Okay.
And it was in the midst of all this turmoil. Like, I was not taking care of myself. All I did was drink. Mm-hmm. And, to deal with it because, like, my brain wouldn't shut up.
Yeah.
And I was living alone, just, no job, just in my apartment, drinking, like, couldn't. And at this point, I couldn't even leave the house.
Wow.
Like, I was like,
isolated.
I was isolated. I was very much like, I felt so uncomfortable with myself that I was like, I can't go out in public. That's like, so friends would have to come visit me. And I was on the phone with my therapist, and she's awesome. And,
great.
I was telling her about all that stuff, and then she was like, maybe you should stop. And I was like, I could try. And she said, I think you should try stopping and see how you feel.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, yeah, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's too much. I think about it just all the time. Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what was it you were struggling with during during this transition period, what were the things that were making you sort of second guess if you made the right choice?
So basically, like, my brain was like, oh, you're mutilating yourself, you're going to be ugly, just kind of things like about my appearance.
Okay, so it was a physical thing. You started seeing physical things you didn't particularly care for.
Yeah. Like, there were things that I liked, and there are still things that I like, but like the hyper masculine, like male.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not male.
Yeah, I hear you. That's why you got to be prepared for these things, right? I actually wanted to be this hyper masculine person. I mean, it's really what I crave. But I was 30 years old when I made this choice. I lived a lot of lives before I did this. So I did dip my toe in things to make sure I was sort of, I lived as a butch lesbian for many years, and it just didn't work out for me. But that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's not a real thing. But that's always been my sort of platform, was to say you've got to live a little bit of your life. You don't know. I mean, you are a complete example of what I say. You don't know. You were a butch person who, you know, however you want to identify, she or her or whatever, but you were a butch person who was really not necessarily struggling. I don't think you were with your masculinity.
No, like in high school, I was the happiest I'd ever been. Like, I was like really involved in the theater scene, and like, so backtracking a little bit, like when I got into high school, I got involved in the theater scene, and there was this masculine lesbian who was a senior when I was a freshman, and I like really looked up to her because I was like, that's me,
right?
You know. So then I changed my presentation. I was the happiest I'd ever been. Of course, she became more feminine after high school, and guess what now?
Please don't tell me.
She transitioned.
You know, I'm
literally wore a wedding dress, and then a month later started testosterone.
It's just shocking. And, you know, I don't want anybody to think I'm judging, because I'm not. And anyway, I see things as an older person that, you know, it just, everyone's struggle's different. Everyone's path is different. But sitting here talking to you, I think people will acknowledge that there's some form of contagion. And also there's how can you self-diagnose yourself? You know, even going to an affirmation therapist is self-diagnosis, because all you're doing is telling that person, I feel this way, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, here you go. Like, there's no, well, wait a minute. When I went to therapy, it was like, well, wait a minute here. What does it mean? Blah, blah, blah. Like, there were steps to this, which now I look back and say, thank the goddess that happened, because I wasn't just rushed through something that people like yourself are going, I made maybe the wrong turn. So you're struggling with the physical aspects of what's happening to you, because you were not prepared for that, and nor is it something I think that you actually wanted.
Right.
So you decided to stop with the sort of encouragement of your therapist at the time, which I think is pretty awesome. That's
and
a great therapist.
I still see her.
Oh, she's great. Send her my love. I think she's very great, and I think I do think she's a real therapist.
Yeah.
You know, really saying these things to you. So how long ago was that when you started to stop? How long have you been off testosterone?
Over a year now.
Over a year. You look great.
Thank you.
You really do.
Thank
you. Look
you.
really great.
I feel great. So
yeah, I see you. I mean, I can't even imagine you being depressed or in that state of being, because now you seem very grounded and really happy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so now you start take the testosterone out. Now here's the thing I want to ask you. Did you just cold turkey stop?
Yes, I did.
This is what's really, on some level, dangerous. I don't think people understand. First off, hormones are powerful.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are so insane.
And I don't think people understand it unless you've been on cross-sex hormones. Like, you don't know what it feels like until you do it.
Nope. That's right. And so all of a sudden you just cold turkey stop. Like, boom. You don't think people need to know that's actually dangerous to cold turkey stop like that, because your body is used to this, right? just bam, and then all of a sudden you're like, bam, it's jerking your system around.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, physically and mentally, when you stopped taking it, how did you feel?
Very like kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No, really.
yeah. Like
yeah.
It was very like it set me off balance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily
in your mental.
Yeah.
Right.
Luckily it only took me about a week to like get back on track. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you feel anything other than your mind? Did you see anything in your physical space that you were dealing with that didn't feel right, or was it just you went off and that was fine?
Right. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't see any
great.
physical changes right away.
And how about so here you are. Did you actually start taking any estrogen to rebalance or anything like that? You just stopped, and I guess, did you get, I don't know if this is too personal, did you start getting your period again?
No, because I'm on birth control.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
I still don't have a period.
But actually, birth control is hormonal, which is great because it's an estrogen space, and I think that's maybe also helping to balance you out on some level. That's why you didn't have, because some other detransitioners that I spoke to had really impactful mental problems and physical problems coming from that. But I think you balanced yourself out with the birth control.
Yeah.
See how hormones, people don't understand, we are hormones. Without our hormones, we will literally die. So the imbalance is really scary and can really affect so many, not only physical, but mental aspects of yourself. So now you're off this stuff, and what happens with your friends and the people around you?
So like, I didn't tell a lot of people at first because I was like, I'm just going to do this gradually.
Great.
So eventually, like, I started identifying as gender fluid, and I used all pronouns.
Okay.
Because I felt like, like that was like, I don't know, that's where I felt like I was physically, and like what I felt fit me at the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then like over time, he, him pronouns became really uncomfortable for me. And I would be like really like taken back by it when people would call me that. So
of course.
So I switched to just they, she pronouns, and that's what I do now, and I'm comfortable with that. So
great.
Yeah.
Great. The pronoun thing, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who cares? It's something you might grow out of later on. It's something that's good for you right now. That's why I don't care how you identify. It means nothing to me. If that makes you happy, that's all I care about. I just want you young people to be happy in your space and not feel so you're struggling with your gender. How can all of these young people all of a sudden out of nowhere be struggling with their gender when it was never like that before? And, we really worked hard. I mean, back in the day, we worked hard to stop these gender stereotypes, right? Like, masculine women are important, and there's nothing wrong with being a masculine woman. But now we're like, immediately, if you're masculine as a female, you're trans.
Right.
It's absurd.
And now we see like straight feminine girls doing it.
I know. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on the queer space, because I can't handle it.
I know.
I'm too old school for that stuff, man. It's just appropriation. It's literally appropriation of the queer, of the gay space. It's nasty. So, okay. So now, did you eventually start telling all your trans guy friends that you are no longer identified? And then, was there any pushback?
So, basically, like, people have been mostly supportive.
Okay.
I've actually lost a few cis friends, interestingly enough.
Wow, it says so much.
Yeah. It's funny because like the trans people in my life have been like there for me.
Right.
And like,
interesting.
Yeah, but like the cis allies were like
it says everything, friend. I think they're the ones causing the rifts, and I think a lot of them are the ones causing a lot of this sort of divide in our community, and pitting each other
Mm-hmm.
against each other. It's these cisgender people coming into our community and claiming queer and whatever. They're not even really a part of our. They can literally go back to living their space tomorrow, and we're gonna have to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
Which is what I see a lot of. I mean, you just sort of said it. What's your cisgender allies? That's
Yeah.
Wow, my friend. So today, let's talk about today. Here you are living in a gender fluid space. Is she, they? Is that what you? Mm-hmm. Great. And so how are you surviving? What's happening? What are you doing in your life? Like, you graduated school?
I am. I'm working retail while I figure out what I want to do.
Great. Great.
And I really like that job. I've made a lot of new close friends. So
Excellent.
and I don't get misgendered anymore. Like, I've gotten to a point where, like, I lost a lot of weight and, like, there's been enough fat redistribution, while still keeping the changes that I do like my arms.
Sure.
You know, to like pass as like female again.
Did you have any surgery by any chance?
I did not. So, okay, interesting story.
Yeah.
So I really wanted phalloplasty.
Of course, a lot of us do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I went to my gender clinic, and they were like telling me a little bit about the procedure, like what, what I could do to get there, and like set up a consultation or whatever. And I was like, okay, like, I want a penis, but I still like penetrative sex. And they were like, oh, well, we can keep both. Like,
I know. So you can have both, the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Wild. Wow. Okay. So then you thought, wow, this is a great idea.
Yeah. And then, so I was like, setting up like a consultation, right? And then I watched videos of like, even actual transsexuals, like, of like them being unhappy with their phalloplasty, and I'm like, this just isn't worth it. Like, this.
Wow.
Yeah,
good for you for looking for videos.
Thank goodness.
Because, yeah, I know a lot of guys, and again, no disrespect to the guys who choose that space, but my own connection to men who said they wish they'd never, trans men who said they wish they'd never. I'm actually very happy that I never did it. I have a very successful sex life and love life, and everything in my life is awesome because I learned to accept the things I can't change.
Yeah.
That's the serenity prayer. You have to learn to change the things you can and accept the things you can't. It's a very real thing. And so I'm happy that you didn't get any surgery.
Oh my gosh.
I really am.
And like, there was also like, I got 2 letters for top surgery. Wow. And like, my therapist, the gay man, was like really pushing for it. He was like, all these problems will go away if you just get top surgery.
Oh my God, we're proving that's just not true.
Yeah.
You and along with many other detransitioners who did do the top surgery and are like completely destroyed from it mentally. Wow, he pushed. So you could walk in. So how do you get that letter now? You just tell your therapist you feel like having a top surgery and they write you a letter for it?
So, there's like more of an assessment of your mental state, I guess, but it's not very in depth.
Thorough, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to me that they push you through so fast. This is a irreversible. Stop saying it's reversible. Stop saying you can get fake boobs. Those are not the same as real boobs. What if you decide that you want to have a child later on, right? Thank gosh, you can actually have a child, friend. You can. You can breastfeed. You can do all the things that you're supposed to do when you have a child because you didn't do those things. At 18, you really think a person can make a choice of having that surgery with not understanding the long-term consequences? I mean, I do think there are some, maybe very few, but who can make that choice at that age. But it's very, very few. I think the amount of people that are doing it now, we're going to have a mess on our hands. Do you agree?
Yes.
It's so sad. So you didn't have surgery. Thank you. Thank you, universe. They didn't do that to you. So here you are living. I mean, you just seem happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes my heart swell that I see you happy and that you made a wrong turn, but you came back. You came back from it on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, like
Absolutely.
I can go out in public. I can like have relationships. I can,
Right.
you know, like
Right.
beforehand, like I couldn't even, like I was so dissociated and so in my head that I couldn't even interact with people like without having a panic attack.
Oh gosh. Is that your OCD, you think?
I think so.
Or yeah, right. And this idea of having perfection on some level, right?
Yes.
And always needing to be this sort of person. It's never, you can never achieve. There's no such thing as perfection, right? I'm still seeking to look masculine, right? I clearly do, but you know, there's always things that you can see about yourself. Oh, my hands are really small. People see it and they think I'm a lady, right? I mean, we have it in our heads. My feet, I always call my feet lady feet. So like, tiny, I have tiny little feet, but I wear my shoe size, a whole shoe size more than it is.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy what we do to sort of pass in this world,
Right.
but you know, that was the point for me. So I didn't have to go around saying I'm a he, him, so that
Right.
you just see that. That's old school way of transition. We wanted to pass. That's why I call myself a transsexual.
And
we just want
interestingly enough, when I was transitioning, I also called myself a transsexual because I didn't like the political identity of transgender.
That's right. That's right. It's politicized. Totally. Yeah, I won't live in that space either. That's not what I did. This is not political for me.
No.
I mean, on some level, it's become that only as an older person, and I care about you young people a lot. A lot I do. And I never want, you know, I don't want people to be trans. I want people to transition who need to do it. That's different. I don't want 5,000 trans people running around the earth who might have not be trans. You clearly just show that. They said you were trans when you're not. You're not trans.
No.
You're something else, whatever that is. I don't care, but you're not.
I'm not trans.
You're not trans. And so tell me a little bit about how you feel now as a detrans. I don't even like that word. I don't know how you feel about it, but is it detrans or is it?
I'm okay with it.
Desisted? Okay,
So
good. I just feel like it's negative.
I think the general consensus is that like desister is like someone who never goes on hormones or surgery.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I see the
detrans is
difference.
someone who actually medically transitioned.
And then realized that it was the wrong
Yeah.
space for you. That's right. Okay, so that makes sense to me. So is there, you know, I'm wondering, because you have a powerful voice, friend. You went through something that a lot of people are sort of questioning now or being put at. Why do we have such a large amount of detransitioners when the trans community always denies it? You know,
Yes.
as well as I do. They deny that you exist. That's why you're sitting here with me today.
No,
They
I was literally on a FaceTime with 3 trans women, and they didn't know that I'm a detransitioner until I said something. But like, one of them was just like, "That doesn't happen," because like someone was like in the comments on the live saying, like, okay, so you got brought up, and everyone in the group was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
turf. I'm a
Yeah.
turf. I'm a transphobe. I'm everything. I'm a trans. What do you call me? Trans scrum or true scum?
right, whatever it is.
I'm all of those things. Whatever.
Yeah.
Name calling. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. And like basically, there was a commenter who was like, you know, what do you think of Buckangel? And everyone like freaked out. And
Thank you. Yes. I live for that.
and he was a trans guy, and he was like talking about like, you know, but the number of detransitioners is growing, and like, you know, he was being like sensible, and then one of the women was just like, that doesn't happen. And I'm sitting
It's so
right
insane.
there.
You don't exist, friend, just so you know.
And I was like, actually, and then she just went silent, like she didn't even know what to say.
So good. That is excellent, friend. Hello? I'm sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
The denial is thick.
Oh, yeah.
I say it all the time. The denial is thick. I saw a panel where they were like, well, detransitioners, they don't really exist. They're very, very small. And I'm just sweating, like going, wait, you know, I don't. So why do you think there is this denial of your existence?
Because it invalidates trans people. It doesn't. And I have never, ever invalidated trans people. Like,
Dude, I'm sitting here. And I said, dude, but that's just my California way of speaking. That being said, I'm sitting with you right now as a transsexual with you.
Yes.
You are there. You do not invalidate my existence in any way, shape, or form. You actually validate my existence.
Exactly.
If that makes, yeah, that's right. That they're insane. They're actually insane, and they're so insecure about themselves.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Like, I have like a ton of trans friends. I support them. I see them as men and women. I've never. I don't have an agenda here.
I see that.
No,
what would be your agenda? I mean, you're not trying to stop people from transitioning.
No.
You are saying, me neither. I am saying my own story.
Exactly.
And I am bringing stories of people like you. I never have told anyone. The thing I do say is young people, to me, I don't think transitioning children is healthy. I do not, and I'm allowed to have that opinion.
Exactly.
Prove me wrong, and that's
like
okay
you're this
if
evil
you do.
turf and for
that's
thinking
right.
that.
It's like, no, I actually do my research, and I have a lot of it, and there's a reason why they stopped doing it in every other country in this world except the United States of America, where they are pushing forward so fast, and it's going to come back to bite us in the ass so hard, my friend. You don't touch kids like that. Kids are so vulnerable. You just said it when you were 5 or whatever. You were. I feel like a man. That is normal behavior. There's nothing weird about that.
No.
It doesn't make you trans. It makes you a kid who's seeing things. You're new, right? When a baby comes out, it's like a little nothing. You have a lot of influence on that. I'm a dad, by the way. I have a 10-year-old. Yeah, so I'm a soccer coach.
Oh, yeah?
I'm around the kids. I see how they're so easily manipulated or on some level need validation and blah, blah, blah. But I would never tell anyone not to transition as an adult if that's what they truly need to do. I'm trying to bring awareness and a more middle ground space here that says, but do you actually need to transition, or can you live as a masculine human?
Yeah.
And you prove to me that you can and that you want to.
Yes.
And that makes you feel happy, is you being validated as a masculine person. Not, you don't need validation by saying I'm trans. I think that's why your story is so important, friend. You're validating your masculinity. So
absolutely.
Now what? So this denial of people like you is hurtful. It hurts my heart.
It hurts my feelings a lot because, I love and care about trans people.
That's right.
I always have.
That's right.
And for them to just be screw you.
It says everything. Yeah, it says everything about, community. It's not a community, because that's what I say. You are part of this community forever. For me, you will be a part of this community. I don't care if you transition or detransition. You are still a part of this community. That's right. Why are we just saying that you aren't here anymore?
I lived
and why
as
are we
a man.
That's right. Your experience matters. How come only their experience? How come? I'm asking the world there. Let's ask that question to them. Why do their experiences only count? But my experience, your experience, and I always push back on diversity and inclusion. Are you kidding? That is a false narrative from the trans. There is no such thing as diversity and inclusion in there. They don't include us. They don't include us. They don't like us.
No.
So we have a couple more minutes here. I just want to give you a little space to say, if you'd like to say anything to people out there who are maybe in your space or maybe thinking about transitioning at 18 or 19, and maybe something you could say to somebody out there that might help them on some level.
Wait.
I love you, dude.
Do your research. Watch, get a 360 view of the trans experience. You can watch far left trans people. You can watch moderates, and I consider myself politically moderate. But you should definitely go watch conservative LGBT YouTubers too. There's a lot of information out there, and I feel like you know, there's like this one narrative being pushed by like these certain subset of trans people, but like look at the ones who are hated and see why they're hated and listen to what they have to say.
Brilliant. I mean, that's just a really logical. You're not saying anything weird. You're not saying anything out of the norm.
No.
You're speaking logic and facts because, you know, lucky that you didn't do surgery. I'm going to keep going.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That. The only damage that could have happened is the testosterone, but you don't have damage because you are actually accepting of the masculine qualities that it gave you, and it helped you on. Maybe that's all you needed. Maybe you just needed a little something testosterone, which I don't even have a problem with, to be honest with you. I just want people to understand the pros and cons to doing that. I remember back in the day, a lot of butch girls were taking tests. They were actually removing their breasts and taking a little T to give little masculine quality, and they never called themselves trans. They were just heightening their masculine space, which is on some of what you have done. Though you took a turn that, you know, I think didn't need to happen. You could have just been, the doctor could have just been, well, you know, maybe a little T will level you out and on some level give you these masculine
a little bit
qualities.
Not this huge dose on a 90-pound, you know what I mean?
No, I do. It's so dangerous. My God, people have no clue about this stuff.
No.
It is insane. You know, I don't know the length. I've luckily been alive for 30 years on it, but we don't know. You know, I'm one of the oldest trannies out there, but but we don't know my life expectancy, and I'm willing to be that. I am a guinea pig. So are you. We are both guinea pigs. There is no basis to any of this. We're still being 30 years ago I did it. You did it now. We're still experimenting. That should say a lot to people out there. They don't know what they're doing in any way, and that's absurd.
Exactly.
They're using us.
Yeah.
And young people, me, I don't care. I'm old. I've done stuff. Use me all you want. But not people like you. That's just not fair. And it's gross that we're lying about it as a community. And it's gross that we don't really see it for what it is, which I believe is some form of an ideology.
Yeah.
That's right. That's how come young people get sucked into it, because it is sort of this savior space. You'll be better off as a trans person.
Yeah.
Right? You'll be better off just identifying when that's not even it never was your space. Why do you think you questioned it? That's why you questioned it from the get-go.
Exactly.
You did. You actually did. Yep.
But everybody was around me telling me.
That's such a powerful statement, and you are going to help people out there, my friend.
I hope so.
I know so. I just know. I already know. I know my people who watch me. I know the people who send me emails. You watch the comments on this video will be thank you. They really will. I have sane people on some level following me who really they're not transphobic.
No.
They want the best for you. They don't want people not to have access. So thank you, August. You're such a sweetheart and a beautiful human, and you know you're doing good work in the world.
And so are you.
You're putting yourself out
and
there.
So are you.
I appreciate you. You know, it means a lot that you stepped up and really talked about something that is sort of hurtful. I can't imagine dealing with that. It's sad. It makes me sad. But at the same time, you bounced back.
Oh, yeah.
You're a badass. You are.
Thank you.
You are. And now we're connected forever. So,
exactly.
You know, I'm your trampod. And,
you
know, I feel very... Always. I feel very protective of you. And so, you know, I'm there for you always, whatever that means. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Send August a lot of love and respect. And, you know, this person stepped up to the plate and for other people to see, not only for themselves, but for other people to not take that space in that wrong turn. So remember, like, subscribe, comment, whatever other stuff you're doing there to help me get these voices out there. I really do appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next interview. Thank you.